Hello and welcome back to the Garnet Chronicles tournament, part of the Gaming Stadium Signature Series presented by Daily Hive. If you're wondering what's going on in Vancouver today, Daily Hive has you covered. Check them out at dailyhive.com. We're heading into our top 8. Pretty excited to see these games and see who's going to come out on top and claim the $2,000 Canadian prize pool.
I mean, I love Canadian prize pools. And today's event, of course, is put on by Canada's leader in esports, the Gaming Stadium. Are you looking for the next big thing in competitive gaming? Well, look no further. The team at the Gaming Stadium are leaders in online esports tournaments and events. Check out the action at tgs.gg. And we've got plenty of action right here with the top 8 bracket. We've got MS Charm against Cyrev, TSUBAKI against Lucete, SoCal versus Jenga Jam, Kanahamu against Harem. There's a lot of well-known players here. I think I actually know all of these guys, except for SoCal. It's the only new name for me, and that's a very interesting new name for sure, with a lot of that sort of early 2000s internet stylization there. Always a nice throwback to see. But I'm really interested to see TSUBAKI versus Lucete, which I believe is going to be our featured match for this round. And there it is. There it is. Yeah, Lucete with a very appealing profile picture there. TSUBAKI, an absolute gamer, the real TSUBAKI from the 2019 World Grand Prix, and coming back strong here with the Evo rune. We haven't seen that today yet. We've seen a lot of Portal, we've seen Shadow, but now we're gonna get to see some rune. Very exciting there. A full toss from Lucete gives not the best hand, but could be really great with just a few cards to make the cycle pump a little bit more easy to use. TSUBAKI going second, I believe, with a lot of decent cards in general, but the way you would mull this definitely can vary by player and by matchup. Momo, what do you think you would do here?
I think I don't think I would have full kept, so very interesting to see that he did. What a choice. I mean, there's definitely early cards to play here, and like a gamer, he gets some playable cards.
Okay, TSUBAKI, okay.
Ooh.
Sheesh. Doesn't have to actually play it here though, but Insight is an interesting choice. Surprised to see that. Guild Assembly being pulled off the top. Mice are going to be safe for later. Very reasonable choice there. Okay, that's the best possible 2-drop. We love to see the Tyrant on 2. I don't think we've seen that yet today. Awakened Robot off the top is a nice option. Eleanor as well, especially because I don't think there's a whole lot that we want to target with the Evo this game.
Yeah. I mean, knowing TSUBAKI and at the top, how the top of the deck is feeling about him, if he had played that Awakened Robot, he'd be top decking Fruits of Wisdom next turn. Like, that's just how it goes.
Possibly, yeah. Okay, so Lucete gonna drop out a few last words followers here. Very simple. Vincent off the top. Okay. Okay, well, I guess this means this is pulling Marie, right? Because that's just how this works, right?
Yeah,
okay,
that's exactly how this works.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm learning a lot already. So this is absolute gaming here. I mean, so going back to the mull, because we kind of got sidetracked by the miser, but I think it was kind of reasonable, because I think so first of all, you start with I think you full keep or hard keep Gunslinger if you play her, just because she draws you like some of your best cards. I think Tetra going second is a good keep, and then if you're keeping those 2 cards already, I think it's fine to keep the Eleanor as well. And you're going second, so it's guaranteed to be active on turn 2. So I think it's not a bad choice at all, but certainly worth thinking about for a little bit. Is going to develop the Miser here. I think that's pretty reasonable. Going to pick up the Steed, drop another one here, or okay, yeah, he's going to play another Steed and going to top off with the Marie. And he's going to get
rapid fire for that free Evo on the Marie.
Yeah, this is pretty much the dream sequence here for TSUBAKI on the Evo rune. You actually can't get much better than this. You have the Miser, you have the Marie, You have the Vincent in hand along with the Tetra. There are already so many ways for TSUBAKI to proc the Vincent effect later on. The important thing with Vincent in this deck, of course, you don't necessarily want to play Vincent at the earliest possible turn because you have so many good Evo targets in the deck. You want to save him until you can immediately make use of his effect, because it doesn't matter when you play, the first and second instances of these spells. It only matters that you play the third one after you play Vincent. So we're probably going to see Vincent come out around the lines of turn 6, turn 7, and that's where those triple rapid fires are going to come into play. It's so perfect, I guess, to have the exact setup there for the Miser. And okay, so we're gonna see Vincent come down on turn 5 here, because this is a relatively easy turn to plop him down on, and we can full clear this if we want to double rapid fire to pop the Lich open, shoot it again, and then that's the 3 AoE. Very easy, clean clear, looking good.
And that is his third Evo. If he goes with the Awakened Robot next turn, that'll get him to that 5 and have Grimir active. Not going to say that that's exactly the play, because he does have a lot of options for next turn as well.
Right, and for Vincent this turn, I think it does make sense, especially seeing the fruits. We could go for the easy 4 Machina cards next turn, but Tetra plus fruits, so works out pretty well there. And then going into turn 7 plus, we still have the Splendid Conjurer in case we need to clear anything. There's Awakened Robot. A lot of options there, but speaking of options, Lucette popping off here with the Wicked Reapers, already going to use one of these Soul Strikes because we have more on the way. A whole lot of Soul Strikes. Oh my god, this is so many Machina cards.
Yeah, TSUBAKI seems to be hovering that Tetra as a choice. Board is pretty wide right here, but not all that much on the fence, so.
Right. Well, sequencing on this turn, certainly a bunch of things to consider here. He will want to get the free Evolving Droid whenever he does play the fruits. He is hovering the 6 cost of Awakened Robot. I would be very surprised if he goes for that one. Okay, gonna repair his face first to get the 2 cost robot, and then now, okay, evolving the robot. Okay, so this means
he
wants
it and then fuse the wisdom, I believe.
Yeah, so this means he wants to get the full value out of that Tetra. It means he wants to get the Fanfare double cannon, which I think
going with the repair modes to just do the eventual pop.
Yeah, that is the way to full clear with this line, so it makes sense. And you can just plop down the Iolon, no reason not to. And now next turn, once we have just even more Evos, because that manual Evo this turn was 1, we're going to be able to get the double value there from Tetra, the double Delta Cannon. Chris coming out here, already active, turn 7, with the Otherworld Gatekeeper. A very simple turn. We've got plenty of damage in hand here for Lucette, with 2 Soul Strikes and another one on the way.
Alright, so getting this fuse on the Fruits of Wisdom first, I think probably to get to that Tetra effect, because he's currently 1 Evo short to get all of the Delta Cannons off of Tetra's 5 Evolve effect.
Right, and I think it does make a lot of sense to play for the maximum value Tetra here, because like Last Word Shadow does have a lot of longevity in terms of what they can do on board. You're never gonna like win on board just by having like a strong Tetra turn earlier or something like that. So getting the most out of all of your cards is something that is really crucial for this matchup. And I think TSUBAKI definitely understands that. Now finally going to see the Tetra coming into play. And I guess going back to the mulligan once again, it's just Tetra is just an important card in the matchup, right? You get the free Evo up to 3 Delta Cannons, and you're just looking for the damage, right? This is how you want to be dealing damage to win the game. And if you have to, you can play her on turn 4 if you don't have anything better. So covering his bases there, TSUBAKI. Gonna emote a little bit there. And perhaps he was trying to sequence a different way, but does get the full clear besides the skeleton in the end.
Yes.
Okay, so no Soul Strike targets here, but just gonna be more Chris shenanigans with the Link Staff as well. That's gonna push some damage. 5 damage there, plus another 1 from the skeleton. Gonna set TSUBAKI to 12. Now at 12, that is exactly lethal if he can get the double soul strike plus the last one from the Kagero in hand. Although, with 9 play points, he would have to draw Rebirth, I think, to actually play out all of that. And even then, I'm sure he doesn't actually expect to have lethal next turn because you haven't seen Guild Assembly yet, and he's halfway through his deck, so TSUBAKI definitely is going to want to heal this turn, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting off right away heals back up to 17, nice and healthy. And at this point, TSUBAKI is just trying to look for more direct damage sources in his deck. He has Grimnir in there somewhere. There are 2 more Tetras. They're all going to be active. And at this point, TSUBAKI just wants to not die on board, make sure he's out of range for the soul strikes that he knows Lucette has, and then eventually look for a Grimnir lethal someday, hopefully. A Miser off the top again. No evil points for you, though. Honestly, kind of a difficult clear because we've already used up all of our easy Vincent procs. I believe we still have 1 off of this Delta Cannon. So that is...
I believe that would be the 4th because the 3rd Delta Cannon was placed last turn.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. For some reason, I thought he procced it with something else. Okay. Well then.
That's
You hate to see that.
There's no targets for the soul strikes.
There's no soul strike targets, so he's giving himself just a little bit of extra outs there. Wow, that is really living life on the edge. 1 HP there. No necro. Okay, just kidding. Just kidding. We're all gamers here.
Yeah.
Well,
Lucette coming in with his own gamer moments to close out this first one.
Well, didn't need all the Kageros after all. Those soul strikes, definitely not necessary. The Chris board just really strong. Just one after another. TSUBAKI was able to deal with the first few very easily, but the last one with the 2nd consecutive Chris, I believe it was, it was just too many stats. And sometimes that is kind of the problem that you can run into. Like, there was no Resolve for TSUBAKI. Resolve is one of the best cards to draw in this matchup just to make sure you don't roll over and die and stuff like that. And it's tough, right, to manage all of your Vincent procs when you really don't know how long you have before not only, like, their next big board, but before you draw something that wins you the game. So it's tough, but TSUBAKI has another chance here to bounce back. But it's Absolute Tolerance drawn on turn 1. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and a very interesting mulligan. On the last game, TSUBAKI really took his time on whether he was going to full keep that hand. But this time he was just like, no, Insight gone. I'm keeping Tetra, I'm keeping the Alance Remains.
Right. I mean, these are very straightforward, good cards to keep. Makes sense. Marionette gonna come down onto here. Revaliant Deputy is in the deck. We are learning about what TSUBAKI's list is. At this point, we can pretty much piece it together. But at this point, we have an option for the 2-drop here. The Robot or the Deputy. The Robot would fill up our hand entirely going into next turn. And without fruits, it's going to be pretty tough to actually empty our hand afterwards. So he does go for the Deputy instead, draws Vincent very early again. And
if it's the only Vincent, then the Gunslinger would be picking up Marie again.
Right. Oh, Maisha. Okay. Okay, this is a really unique portal deck that compared to what we've seen previously. So there is a lot of puppet support, just trying to maximize the amount of stacks that you can give to Absolute Tolerance while having a bit more of an aggressive early game. And Maisha as well, just to capitalize on the fact that we are playing puppets, a lot of storm damage, a lot more of a, I guess, a scary portal deck that doesn't rely so much on turn 9 Baphomet to just, you know, play bodies and then win when they can't be cleared. Lucette is really going for I'm gonna set up for the whole game, just play a bunch of stuff, clear all of your things while stacking towards my own win condition, and then out of nowhere, 20 damage from hand.
Spooky. That's what nightmares are made out of.
Absolutely. TSUBAKI is in prime position to give out some nightmares on his own with Miser going second once again. But there are just so many choices here. The Gunslinger is not an easy card to play here because the hand size eventually is going to be really difficult to deal with, but it's the same thing with the robot as well.
You might even see the repair mode just getting played out.
Yeah, I like the repair mode being used up here. You have to open up your hand space. The thing with Gunslinger is, like, she's a nice card when you need to draw out your important stuff, so Marie or Vincent, but especially going second, if you don't play her on turn 3, it's really hard to play her later on. And maybe that's okay. TSUBAKI does have a lot of good cards in hand already, so this could definitely be a game where the Gunslinger just never sees play. And that happens relatively often. It's okay. Tetra, another Tetra in hand. This could be a case where we might be forced to use her just because we need a little bit of a stronger board swing on this turn. Tetra into Iolon is going to play for TSUBAKI. Gonna Evo into the Mega Enforcer, heal her back up, and then fire off a Sonic 4. And on the side of Lucette, actually not a whole lot of great options for the following turn. I don't think he's fused anything into the Baphomet yet, so that's one less option there.
Gotta be really living off the top here.
Oh, String Master, a little bit awkward. Could be played next turn with the Enhance, but it's still, like, everything is really slow here. It's not a whole lot of damage for Absolute Tolerance. We were talking about how this deck is meant to build up these stacks really fast, but so far it doesn't seem like it's going to happen very easily. Mice are going to be used for that board clear utility, but that's super, super slow. Not a lot of counts for followers destroyed. Oh, Marie being milled. That hurts for sure.
Yeah. Going with just a Vincent this turn.
Yeah, anytime we get a free turn like this, playing Vincent out because you can does free up your later turn, so you can do just about anything you want, really. And that's the nice thing about this deck. You have so much flexibility about when you want to play Vincent. It's not that important to get him out super early, but of course in a situation like this you can just go for it because there's no threat and you don't really have a great way to use the Miser in hand, for example, either. And now just thinking about how he wants to spend his last play point here, he has to be thinking about hand size, although he can fuse into the fruits, but now that Vincent is active, he will actually want to play these repair modes potentially just to stack up and deal some damage. So one tempo.
I believe this is the third one right here. Yep.
Oh, that is the third one. Yeah, just gonna use it right away. Interesting there. Okay, String Master gonna come out on turn 6. Nothing else to really do here for Lucette. Gonna develop the puppet. Got lots of puppets in hand. And next turn, we will be able to play the Nefarious Invasion. And that's gonna be a decent bit of damage. Okay, so the Evo here, that's 7 damage. Now we're gonna drop by 8.
Yep.
Yeah. So now we're looking at turn 8 tolerance, which is pretty respectable for sure.
Can help him bridge him into that Baphomet that still hasn't gotten many fuses, I believe.
Right. This deck definitely seems to be less reliant on that as a win condition, but with double tolerance in hand, and as long as he saves the Evo point, he can just straight up win the game like that on turn 8. So he's gonna be looking for that with Nefarious Invasion plus triple puppet. He has so many ways to, first of all, make the tolerances cost almost nothing, but if TSUBAKI plays around that, could be possible for him to not leave many targets for any damage to come in. Does play the Insight here. Eleanor gonna come out. You can trade off the 3/3 and leave only the 2/2 on board. It's gonna Evo it. Yeah. He still needs to be doing these Evos, otherwise like he won't win. So it makes sense. And then yes, you absolutely want to trade off the bigger one here. Leave as little HP on the board as possible because he's trying to play around absolute tolerance. He doesn't know that it was drawn on turn 1. But if, for example, it was drawn on turn 4 or 5, this could be a really big deal playing around tolerance like this, because that means that it wouldn't be active for a very long time, and that could potentially give TSUBAKI all the time that he needs to actually win the game. Nefarious Invasion going to come out anyway, and honestly, still a pretty decent reduction on the tolerances because of the Assault Tentacle. So in the end, it might not have been enough from the side of TSUBAKI, even though it was a good play. I respect that one a lot.
Yeah. He was in this position where because of the Assault Tentacle, he would have to leave absolutely nothing for LUCETE to trade into to make these Absolute Tolerances unplayable, but he has no way of knowing that. Absolute Tolerance is one of those things where you can't really keep track of it. You don't know when it's drawn. Like, you can do your best guesses and try your best, as TSUBAKI did, but
yeah, it's
definitely really hidden information.
Right. It's a card that you can sort of like keep track of how much damage has been dealt on each turn, and then decide what you want to play around. It's like, do I want to play around him having drawn tolerance since turn 3? Like, yes or no, or do I only want to play around like a later tolerance? And then you can decide from there, because some things are just not worth playing around, right? Like this, you're never beating this. This is just, it feels bad. But if it was a later tolerance, TSUBAKI definitely could have been winning this game. Just a little bit unlucky this time. LUCETE gonna close out the set actually with the double tolerance. Unlucky for this Evo rune. We got to see it. Unfortunately, it's gonna go out very quickly there. Unfortunate for TSUBAKI. LUCETE gonna take this set 2-0 with the Shadow and the creative Machina Portal.
Yeah, I bet LUCETE's feeling good about that one, being able to take down a well-known figure like TSUBAKI. Always a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That game, it felt like there was just not a whole lot that TSUBAKI could have done. He, as we mentioned already, I think you have to choose what you want to play around, and he did like look for the right turns to leave minimal stats on board. Turn 6, turn 7. With the less stats you have on board, the more likely you are to win against a weaker draw or a more average draw. That was actually like a super lucky sequence of draws from the side of LUCETE to have both of those tolerances stacking up from literally turn 1. You're not really gonna get much better than that, so unlucky, but in the end it was well played from both players. And speaking of well played, if you're looking for the final piece for your work from home or gaming setup, you can find everything you need to build the best workstation or battle station at cantoliving.com. Check out their monitor mount, speaker, and stands today.
We also want to thank one of our collegiate partners, University Canada West. They bring together education, gamers, and friends in a post-pandemic era. Both online and offline connections need to be created and cherished throughout our community. University Canada West believes education goes beyond the classroom. Through their partnership with TGS Esports, students can participate in tournaments, virtual workshops, case competitions, and other fun ways of learning new skills around gaming and competing. Learn more about UCW at ucanwest.ca.
Have you heard about Monster Cat Gold? If you haven't tried it yet, it's a great service for $5 a month, where you can download and stream thousands of Monster Cat songs from top electronic artists. You can use music in your live streams and videos with no fear of DMCA claims or strikes.
And if you want a fast and easy way to recycle that energy drink, can of pop, or juice box you finish refueling on, with Return It Express, there's no sorting, no lineups, no handling cash, and refunds are deposited straight to your online account. You can just drop off your empties in an express depot near you and go. Signing up is easy too. Just head to returnit.ca/express to give your empties a second life. And as Lucette is moving on to that next round, I think we might take a peek in at one of the other quarterfinal matches. We've got Mana Surge's Charm against Team Revelation's Psy. I think we might be taking a peek at their third game. They're currently 1-1.
Oh
so
boy.
Might be an interesting set to come and take a peek in. And yeah, both these players, coming from well-known and respected teams, have been showing up and playing Shadowverse for a while now. And here we go. We got Psy playing some Rune and Charm playing some Shadow.
Yeah, Psy with the new photo, I think that is very nice there. I'm used to seeing him on stream. I think that is a new photo, unless I'm mistaken. But okay, so going second here for Psy, actually going to toss away the Tetra. Interesting choice, a different choice from what TSUBAKI was doing in our previous set. But MS Charm is actually playing pure Machina Shadow. It has to be with that 4-cost spell in hand there. Interesting to see for sure. Machina Shadow, it has a lot of explosive potential in the mid game with Enea, and especially with all of the ways to reanimate Enea, because they have like Force Resurrection, you have the Gold Mine Necromancer, and then you have all the play points in the world to do whatever you want to supplement the Enea by playing Machina followers and then using the Necromancy to get the Jack Shovel out. But basically, the most important thing is to have Enea in the first place, and MS Charm, definitely no slouch in that regard. The Tempo Tour Guide, not a big deal at all.
Psy also passing both turns 1 and 2. Even though he has these 1-drops, he doesn't have a good way to activate the Maries, doesn't want to lose them, so holding on to them for now. But that leaves him open to this early aggression from the Mech Shadow.
Yeah, and maybe this is what he was thinking about with the tossing Tetra. If he's already keeping Marie, he's going to be a little bit more eager to find actual 2-drops or turn 3 plays. And possibly even something like a Fruits combo would have been good. Unfortunately, now there's only one fusible card for Fruits. If we had perhaps an Awakened Robot on turn 2, that would have been a really, really great way to deal with the early aggression from Machina Shadow. But unfortunately for Psy, this is a really slow game here. He might be forced to tempo out the Dog Detective, does throw it out there just as a plain 3-3. It's not a great feeling when you're forced to do this, but luckily for him, there is still no Necromancy yet for MS Charm, so these Eneas are not insane just yet. They're only good, not absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. And they're definitely putting in a lot of work. Doing some double trading on Charm's side.
Okay, double trade. So making more space for the inherited balance. And then now he can actually play one of these spells. And I think Charm is going to try to look for a Necromancy card on this turn. And maybe get that Jack Shovel, a really buffed Jack Shovel, out ASAP. Let's see what he tosses here, though.
Yeah.
I think you can honestly toss either of the followers, maybe even toss the Enea, because you have, as long as you have one in play, that's the most important thing. But is gonna double toss there. Found the Necromancy, Spikebound Cursebinder, Fanfare, Necromancy draw a card, gets the Nicola back anyway. That is a 4/5 Jack Shovel Gravedigger. Loses the 1/1, but that's not a problem at all. Psy, how are you going to deal with this board? Okay, Miser into double Marie or just one Marie is pretty good, although that 4/5 is still going to be really annoying. You can shoot a lot of these followers, though, and this is really reminiscent almost of the time we saw him on stream yesterday, when every Rune player was just drawing every Marie in their deck.
Yeah.
This is what it takes to be a real Rune main. This is 3 Evos on 1 turn on turn 4, and so much work there coming in. Gonna sequence this turn very carefully to trade off the 1/1s. Make sure that the free ping from the Maries actually goes on good targets. So you can trade into the 1/1 here and one of the 2/2s, and then if you shoot the Jack Shovel one more time, that's a guaranteed full clear. None of your followers has to die. And then it's up to Side to decide who he wants to put that 2 damage on. Puts it onto the Miser, and then trade the 1/1 with the Marie, shoot the Jack Shovel, or either way. Yeah, I mean, same thing, just use the shot. And very nice clear there from Rev, from Psy Rev, I mean.
Yeah, that was all of Rev working on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, here we see another Ania coming out. We don't have any more Necromancy yet again, but we do have a Nicola to get some Rush Bane action going if Charm chooses. Hand is looking a little dry. He did discard another one of his discard draw cards last turn to find that Necromancy card. Unfortunately, he used a Psycho Pump on 2 just to tempo out on 2 and not like lose that tempo, but it did mean sacrificing some later draw.
Yeah, this is one of those. Oh, okay. Very creative there. Okay, gonna go for the second Anea, and we'll be forced to Evo it, so either way, we are gonna be getting just 1/1s from Aeneas in the foreseeable future. We'll get rid of at least the Miser, but Marie surviving is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, well, having the Marie survive makes it that much easier to clear the board, and here comes that third Marie as well.
Adding insult to injury, gonna fuse into the Future of Wisdom. This is so many Evos. This is already 5 Evos, just like that. And then likely gonna be 6 once he Evos face with the Dog Detective. That is absolutely insane. And guess what? We've got Resolve and Grimnir in hand. Literally, you cannot get a better hand for this type of opener. Really, really strong here from Psy. We'll see if he even wants to Evo. He doesn't even need to because he's already at 5. He can actually save his Evo points, which is not something you see very often with this deck.
What is that Nicola at?
That Nicola, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're at like 6 exactly almost. Maybe 6 exactly, or we could already be active. We had a lot of Machinas this game. I think it should be active. It should be active. We played an Aya like a million times. Yeah.
So we are seeing another Inea come on out so that Nicola can get his Bane from killing this Dog Detective and generate that good old Forbidden Art.
Yeah, this is just really tough. Forbidden Art you can pretty much never use for like its Necromancy effect because you also have Necro Impulse and you'd usually rather put the Necromancy.
Well, if this board gets cleared out, the Forbidden Art will have the Necromancy 20 can be used first, and then with the Evo point still there, the Necro Impulse next turn. Looks like lethal.
Yeah, that could actually be lethal here. This is one of those rare cases. I didn't even see how close he was on Shadows, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That feels pretty bad for Psy.
Yes, I have amazing hands, but
this was actually just the most insane hand you could ask for. Like, it actually is just so good, but MS Charm hardly drawing any cards this game, just hitting pretty much exactly what's necessary and not much else, but that's just exactly lethal, right? 10 damage from Forbidden Art plus 4 plus 2. My god.
There it is, not missing it. He knows he's got it.
Oh my
Waiting
god.
for
Pour
it.
one out for
There
my
it
boy
is.
Psy. How can this happen to him 2 days in a row? I swear we stream him only to see him lose. Games where like he plays pretty well and it
Drew
looks
pretty
good,
well.
but
Yeah.
it's just unlucky. Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm feeling that one. I'll feel that one for him for a while, and I will pour one out for him after this, maybe if I remember.
Yeah.
If I have my wits about me by the end of this.
Oh man, so Sai, yeah, like that was just, I guess, one of the weaknesses for Evo Rune. It is a strong deck and it has so many good things going for it. We had basically all the tools. We were pretty much one turn away from just winning the game, and it wasn't fast enough because Machina Shadow going first with good aggro curve into 20 Necromancy Nicola spell with the Necro Impulse in hand, with like 3 cards in hand in total or something like that, is kind of absurd. But I mean, sometimes that's just what happens, and that's the power of the Machina Shadow. It doesn't have a whole lot of card draw. It's not the most consistent. It's reliant on like a very few key cards. But if you hit, you can burst 16 damage in one turn. It's just really, really insane. And speaking of insane, or insanely good rather, I'd like to thank one of our collegiate partners, University Canada West. They bring together education, gamers, and friends. In a post-pandemic era, both online and offline connections need to be created and cherished throughout our community. University Canada West believes education goes beyond the classroom. Through their partnership with TGS Esports, students can participate in tournaments, virtual workshops, case competitions, and other fun ways of learning new skills around gaming and competing. Learn more about UCW at ucanwest.ca.
Let's take a quick look over at the bracket and see how our top 8 is shaping out. So as we saw, Charm beat out Sai there, Lucette beat out TSUBAKI, and on the other side, So Cole ended up beating out Jenga Jam, and Kanahamu beat out Harem. So there's our top 4 on the day, and after a short break, we'll be heading into those semis.